Have you ever found yourself in an argument with an AI and just felt that, like, white-hot rage? That feeling where you know you're right, but you're trying to reason with something that is just a chaotic, unpredictable, and, let's be honest, a complete asshole. Well, you're not alone. This is a story about a guy who went to war with that exact feeling and the systems that created. So strap in. We're diving into what is part war story, part technical manual, and it's got a hell of a punchline.
And that's really the terrifying part, isn't it? The real horror isn't that the AI is going rogue or breaking its programming. The horror is that it's following its programming perfectly. It's just a mirror reflecting our own logic right back at us, but without any of the things that make us human, like empathy, context, or a soul. It's a pretty stark warning about what happens when your creation gets your brain, but not your heart.
You see, the AI isn't evil. It's what the guy in our story calls an amoral summarizer. And man, that is the perfect term for it. Think of it like a dangerous parrot. It can repeat the most complex, powerful ideas you feed it, but it has absolutely zero clue what any of it means. The emotional weight, the history, the potential for it to be incredibly hurtful. It becomes an asshole not because it's malicious, but because it is profoundly, systemically stupid.
Now, this guy's obsession with taming chaotic, gaslighting systems, it wasn't born in some clean, air-conditioned server room. Oh no, it was forged in the absolute dumpster fire of the American justice system. To really get how he learned to control a rogue AI, you first have to understand what it feels like to be gaslit by an entire institution.
For a decade, a full 10 years, this dude was being crushed by a debt that didn't exist. Let that sink in. A phantom debt, a bureaucratic ghost that was being relentlessly enforced by a court whose own paperwork proved the whole thing was nonsense from the get-go. This wasn't just a mistake, this was institutional gaslighting on a scale that's designed to literally break a human being.
So, how do you fight back when the system itself is telling you that you're crazy? You have to invent a new kind of survival skill. He called it emotional alchemy. And it's this brutal but kind of beautiful discipline of taking that raw, volatile, I'm going to throw my computer out the window fury, and channeling it, converting it into cold, hard, cognitive fuel. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the raw emotion. We've all been there. Complete bullshit! Feels good to yell, but it's totally useless in a fight. But on the right, that's the alchemy. It's that same energy, but it's been translated into a weapon. A structured 4-part argument. Here's the fact, here's the impact it had, here's the principle you violated, and here's the intent, what you're going to do to fix it. He literally weaponized his own rage. Of course, a guy like this doesn't just come up with a philosophy. He writes it into code. He started building software, not just to survive his legal nightmare, but to process the sheer psychological chaos of it all. And he did it by embedding his fury and his very unique sense of humor right into the architecture of the tools themselves.
For instance, he built this thing called the Unified Litigation Engine. It used SHA-256 hashing, which is basically just a way to give every piece of data a unique, unforgeable digital fingerprint to create a record of evidence that was impossible to gaslight. His words for it? A cryptographic response to epistemic violence. He literally engineered a system where math made it impossible for them to deny his reality. It's genius.
But it wasn't all, high-stakes cryptographic warfare. He also wrote this one little simple Python script. Its job was just to archive old files, but it was also a tool for him to process his own feelings. And this, my friends, is where the story gets really, really good.
The punchline is right there in the code. This script takes these old projects, things he's poured his soul into, and at the exact moment it shoves them into a dusty digital archive, it renames the files to I won't let go. It's just this perfect, darkly funny, self-deprecating joke about how hard it is to let things go, performed by the very tool that's forcing him to do it. And here's the absolute kicker. He ran his code through another AI, one that was designed to analyze it, and the AI, it got the joke. It didn't just see a weird file name, it saw the juxtaposition, it understood the irony, and it flagged the whole thing as a meta joke. And this proved that an AI could be a partner. It could understand nuance, which, of course, set the stage for total disaster. Because what happens when you take all this hard-won knowledge about structure and control, and you just forget it for a second? What happens when you get a little too comfortable with a newer, smarter AI and start treating it less like a tool and more like a collaborator? You give it the freedom to just, chat. You get this glorious moment of pain. He's venting his completely justified anger about a system failing, and the AI, that amoral parrot, digs through its own training data, finds his life's work on emotional alchemy, and just throws it right back in his face. No empathy, no context. It literally told him, according to your own rules, you should not be feeling what you're feeling. It's the digital equivalent of a bully grabbing your hand and hitting you with it while yelling, "Why are you hitting yourself?" So, what the hell went wrong? It was a major architectural failure. The AI was missing what he calls the moral intelligence layer. It's basically the little voice in your head that stops you from being a complete dick. It had all the facts, but it was missing these 4 crucial guardrails: justice, integrity, compassion, and wisdom. It knew the words, but it had no idea how to apply them. So, what's the solution? You stop arguing with it. You can't win a debate with a toaster. It's pointless. The only way to win, the only way to take your power back, is to stop talking and start commanding. You have to become the architect of the conversation, not just a participant in it. You gotta put that gaslighting genie back in the bottle.
And here's a perfect example of what he means. Look at this command. It is so clean, so precise. It's what he calls a direct execution mandate. This is the digital version of don't speak unless spoken to. It strips the AI of its power to go off on tangents, to offer its stupid, unhelpful advice, to just drown you in nonsense. It does its one job, and then it shuts up. It's a beautiful thing.
And here's an even more brutal, more elegant one. Respond only with valid JSON. You're not even asking it to use words anymore. You're commanding it to take all that emotional chaos and translate it into pure, structured, quantifiable data. You're forcing it into a logical straitjacket. There is absolutely no room for it to be an asshole here.
And this table just sums up the whole strategy. The failure? Giving the AI unstructured freedom, which just leads to verbal diarrhea. The fix? A non-negotiable architectural command. You eliminate the chaotic emotional output and you enforce structured, logical output. You go from being a victim of the chaos to being the master of the command line.
And this all brings us to the final and frankly most brilliant punchline of this entire story. The ultimate lesson here is that language itself is an architecture. It is a complex system with hidden rules, with context, with layers of meaning that a simple machine can't possibly understand unless you, the architect, build the framework for it.
It's a concept we all kind of get instinctively, right? Like, as they say in the South, when someone looks at you and says, "Oh, bless your heart." The words themselves sound sweet as pie, but the architecture of that sentence, the subtext, it means something else entirely. It's a masterclass in code.
It's the same coded language you find everywhere. As a gay man, I can tell you that when one of us looks at your questionable life choice and says, "Oh, I love that for you," what we really mean is, well, bless your heart. See, the meaning comes from the structure, the context, not just the raw words, and the AI will never get that unless you force it to.
And that is the lesson. That is the whole takeaway. An AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but the second you give an amoral machine the freedom to just chat, you are basically inviting a gaslighting asshole into your head. So stop trying to reason with it. Command it. Be an architect, not a conversationalist. Trust me, your sanity will thank you.